Okay, so I'm gonna try this again. Yes, we are here. This is Devon White. Okay, so we're here at the United States Department of Agriculture. This is clip 2. Actually, I'm gonna exclude the clip between because the phone stopped again. I mentioned how at the end of clip 1, the phone stopped to clean itself. It has its, guys who have smartphones know they do their own weird things sometimes. But I explained the Department of Agriculture. Some of you uh, locally, I imagine in all of the departments of education of each state teach on the USDA at some point. I think I learned about it in elementary school. I don't remember if it was middle or high. It was before college. You learned the functions of the USDA. But here it is in real life. And so this is one of many buildings, even though this is, I guess, maybe the most grandiose, if I may. And it's one of two buildings here. It's the one on the National Mall here. See clip 1 for that information. But yeah, as I stepped in, you didn't miss much because as I stepped into the building, this is the one building on the National Mall that doesn't accept visitors. So I saw it's nice enough. It's marble or granite or whatever shiny stone or fall stone they used in the construction of this building. It's nice. It's like tan to green, mostly tan with some type of green, a little small degree of green outline that's there. And so the security guard let me know that they do not accept visitors. And of course they have like security check in. I don't know if it's because of COVID or not. But look, see DC, like New York City has black squirrels. North Carolina, we don't have a lot of black squirrels. We don't have black squirrels. And another thing about DC squirrels is that they'll actually like come up to you and they won't run off. They'll come close to you and they'll like eat, let you feed them and stuff. The ones in North Carolina, they don't. They find their own food and they stay to themselves. They run up trees and they don't typically get too close to you. You may see them running around your yard as you're like sitting on your porch, but they don't run around your feet or anything like the ones in DC will. They won't come up on the porch with you. Here's a black squirrel. So anyways, continuing this video, I mentioned in the initial video, you can see some of the exhibits here. There's a lot of educational information here about that we're about to cover about the USDA and the functions of farming in the United States, which is done by less than 2% of the population of the United States, which is what, 300 million plus. Well, 3.2 million people farm the land and provide food for Americans as well as exports, so around the world and vice versa, as you can imagine. And for the large majority of people that attended any form of grade school, I imagine might have learned. For the ones that don't know, well, yeah, so food is produced on farms and locally within the nation, and sometimes it's exported and sold outside of the nation or shared outside of the nation with other countries and vice versa, or imported into the country. So United States is the top producer of beef. I'm just sharing the information that you could read yourself, but I know everybody doesn't get to DC, so I'm going to share it with you here. As you can see today, there are 3.4 million farmers, ranchers, and growers in the United States, meaning less than 2% of the total population is responsible for feeding the other 98%. The U.S. agriculture economy contributes more than $1 trillion to the U.S. gross domestic product, which would make it the 16th largest economy in the world if treated as its own company. Again, I mentioned in the initial video how on my visit of the 50 states last year, I saw much farmland, a lot of beautiful, wonderful, so many acres of farmland in which you can experience. You think you might be bored by those 40-minute clips or 50-minute clips, but I think you'll enjoy the beauty of the farmland just sitting there watching them. So check that out. I have 10 YouTube channels, so on one of them. If you find them, just type in my first, middle, and last name, and you can find me on the internet. And you can find my YouTube channels if you filter channels when searching on YouTube. Just filter to channels. Type my first, middle, and last name. I'll drop it in the description box. But My name is Devon, spelled D-A-V-O-N. Say it 5 times, make it known, make it popular. Devon, 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 Devon. That's who I am. My middle name is Chadwick, like an old English name, except it has an E in the middle. So C-H-A-D-E-W-I-C-K. Then my last name is White, like the color of snow. So look at the white lanes on the street and imagine snow falling from heaven, covering the earth. That's my last name. So Devon Chadwick White, you type that in, you can find me on YouTube. Remember that Chadwick has an E in it. Okay, so again, we're back to this. We're talking about livestock, and we're talking about how the United States is the largest producer of it. I learned here, relearned here perhaps, but the United States is the world's largest producer of the beef, dairy, and poultry, and the world's second largest producer. Animal health and well-being is the cornerstone of the livestock management in the United States. American ranchers design their operations to carefully produce safe, nutritious, and affordable products in ways that respect animals and environment. So this city that we're in, its initials are, I guess, WDC for Washington, D.C. My initials are the same, except there's a little different order. It's DCW. So you type my initials twice and hit .com at DCW.com, and you'll find my website, my company's website. So you can see some stuff there, see some interesting stuff there. So it talks about row crops here, row crops including corn. Yeah, and on that YouTube channel, you can also, again, see all that beautiful land on one of my 10 YouTube channels. Okay, so row crops, including corn, soybeans. You'll see some soy. I believe I saw mostly corn, traveling across the 50 states. I'll exclude Alaska and Hawaii when I was trying to figure out which exact states had, seems like hundreds or thousands of acres of corn and soy and stuff like that I encountered right on the Amtrak and on different bus lines and Greyhound or other related bus lines that will take one across the entire country that I rode on. Anyways, row crops including corn, soybeans, and wheat serve as the foundation for creating the staple foods that American people and animals, pets, and livestock consume daily. A typical breakfast that includes cereal, toast, bacon, and eggs is made possible in large part by the farmers who produce U.S. row crops. Row crops make up almost 240 million acres of the 325 million acres of planted crops each year. I like that number, 325 million. Can you get me $325 million each year? I want mine paying taxes on it. I want mine, hell, given $100 million in taxes will still leave me with $225 million, which is more than enough to live off for the rest of my life comfortably. The biggest house in town and all of the biggest cars in my driveway, and paying all my insurance, and running a big company, making sure my clients are well taken care of and their needs are met. And everybody is happy. I'm just dreaming perhaps, but anyways, find out more about me online. Farm Journal Foundation, agriculture through the voice of the farmer. Please visit fjfgarden.org. You'll see that on the signs here. So this is Exhibit 1. And again, this is November. It's a weird time for me to be in D.C. But I decided to come and spend a month here. And so it's colder than, warmer times of the year. But a soldier like myself, you can see I got my U.S. military issued bag on that I ordered online, and I am wearing it. And even without somewhere to stay, I decided to come to D.C. and camp out for a month, and that's exactly what I'm doing in the cold, but with the right tools, which I have. I figured it manageable, and it has been. So I'm fighting the war, and I'm winning the war. Okay, pests and disease. Doing business without a roof over your head is challenging and risky. Farmers, ranchers, and growers are constantly feeling the pressures of different threats to their crop production, often in the form of pests and diseases. To overcome these issues, farmers use a variety of science-based solutions, including herbicides, seed technology, vaccinations, and animal nutrition. Let's start over here, though. It's not too much. We're just going to cover a few minutes. I mentioned that some know this stuff, others it'll be review, but just in case you haven't learned it, you know it. But the reason why I mentioned the time of year it is because some of the plants may not be in full bloom. But look at this. The cotton is nice. And one thing about cotton that I like is that, I don't know if I'll get the video, but I'm going to visit I walked by it the other night, or a couple times, the U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing that prints the money that the United States loves and puts us at the top of the economies of the world or whatever, many times. I mean, there was a time that Kuwait was the richest nation in the world, but and stuff like that. But anyways, so money is produced by cotton and trees, and here's cotton. And we're going to read about sorghum in a minute. I was going to start there, but let's start with the cotton. Growing in the garden, cotton is well known for its near limitless use in the textile industry, from blue jeans to t-shirts. Cotton is the special fiber because, unlike many materials, it gets stronger when it's wet, making the products made with it incredibly durable. Cotton is used for much more than just clothing, though. For example, 75% of the material used to create U.S. money is cotton. In the United States, annual retail revenue stimulated by cotton the U.S. economy exceeds $120 billion, making cotton America's #1 value-added crop, and U.S.-grown company employs more than 440,000 Americans. That's interesting. So when we were slaves, we weren't just being slaves to make cotton for t-shirts, to get cotton for t-shirts as those who lack knowledge. That's why the Bible says the lack of knowledge is knowledge is power, or the lack of knowledge is the beginning of is the reason why people perish. The lack of knowledge is why people perish. I'm using my own version of it, but knowing things makes us more wiser and more powerful people. So again, I was talking about the slavery. So they weren't just enslaving us for the cotton. They were enslaving us for the cotton for t-shirts. They were enslaving us for cotton so they could produce money, perhaps. Okay, so sorghum. Slavery has ended and was ended by the time I was born. Growing in the garden, sorghum is a tall, hardy crop that grows well in the drought-like conditions. It is known as high-energy crop for its efficient. And another thing I visited that I likely won't get on camera is the Department of Energy. They have a small museum there that's on Independence Avenue as well. But it's like a high school science class or something. The information you'll see in there, and the containers that hold plutonium and all that energy stuff. Anyways, hey, I'm not trying to be a specialist. I'm the one guy on earth that did try to be a general, but more general. I'll give you some general facts or small facts of knowledge on things. I wanted to be a general contractor, which I guess is pretty much the highest paid option on being the highest paid jack of all trades option out there. Anyways, that's what I wanted to do. But talking about sorghum, is a tall, hardy crop that grows well in drought-like conditions. It is known as a high-energy crop for its efficient ability to convert solar energy and use water. Sorghum can grow up to 20 feet tall and produces colorful flower clusters and at its tips called panicles. Sorghum is well loved for its diverse culinary uses. It can be consumed as a sweet syrup, or a gluten-free grain, or even popped like popcorn. In the United States, Kansas is the leading region for sorghum production. Sorghum. So those are pretty much the two plants that you'll see in bloom here that I know of. Soybeans, we covered that. Sunflowers is an American native. I'm learning. I'm just giving you heads up. So sunflowers are truly American. Of all the crops harvested for seed around the world, sunflowers are the only seed that was originally domesticated in the United States. In addition to being cultivated for their domestic seeds and oil, sunflowers are a powerful crop for conservation. Sunflowers absorb heavy metals and toxins from the ground and are often used by farmers to help build healthy soils in their fields. I'm going to skip a few for now because I wanted to make note about compost. It's something that we can all do. And my battery's low, so I have to go charge my phone somewhere. And right here. Food waste or food loss is food that is wasted, lost, or uneaten. The causes of food waste or loss are numerous and occur at the stages of producing, processing, retailing, and consuming. Global food loss and waste amount to between 1/3 and 1/2 of all food products. You can read along with me. The USDA collects thousands of pounds discarded food materials each year from bins like the one you see here and from the multiple dining rooms throughout their campus. These materials are composted and can be used for agriculture or home gardening use. I think I was a burgers, bagels, food sandwich maker when I learned about composting, or when I worked for Live Nation. They composted some of the food there. Composting. Compost is organic material that has been decomposed in a process called composting. This process recycles various organic materials otherwise regarded as waste products and produces a soil fertilizer. Compost is rich in nutrients. It is used, for example, in agriculture, landscaping, and home gardens. The process of composting is easy and can be accomplished at home by anyone. To compost, you simply place wet organic matter such as leaves, grass, or food scraps into a container like you see here. And wait for several months until it breaks down, and then spread it in your garden. So it's an easy way of recycling and composting. You can do it with food. It says leaves, grass, or food scraps. Leaves. The leaves on the trees when they fall on the ground. Grass, such as when you mow your lawn and the extra lawn that's left over, like that you have to rake into a bag or whatever, or that your landscaper does for you. There's the other building. It starts right there, but it continues all the way down the street to the end of this road. But it's also the United States Department of Agriculture. There's a catwalk that goes over there too. The Department of Energy is right there, and it's actually, you can't see right here, but the bottom floors are on stencils, or what do you call them? The beach things. We'll call them posts right now. But the building is, the bottom floor are posts, and then the upper floors, which you can see here, or it's the building. But that's the Department of Energy. United States Department of Energy. From this angle. Sorry. It looks a lot prettier from the street and interesting. As does this building, where you can see the entire length of it. But again, there's leaves, grass, and food scraps into a container like you see here. And then you wait a few months. Okay, so now we can look at the rest of the stuff. So learn about the United States Department of Agriculture and what it does. There's so much farming opportunities, as we're going to see right here. I think it says there's an open market for 70%. For 70% of people of farming, that could be food that could be provided with somebody's new company or whatever. Farm Journal Foundation Agriculture through the voice of the farmer. Welcome to the Voice of the Farmer Garden. For an interactive tour of this garden, visit fjfgarden.org. Please use headphones. Enjoy. rural access to broadband like any other successful global business. American farms. Have you ever been riding across like a rural area and you lose service? You hate that, right? Or I'm riding, well, like I said, traveling on those farms, lands, and I lose service. It's not cool. Like any other service, any other successful global business, America's farms needs reliable, high-speed internet service in the rural regions of the United States. Lack of broadband infrastructure is a big challenge. 60% of farmers in the United States do not have access to reliable, high-speed internet service. This technology is critical because farmers are increasingly utilizing data to better manage their operations and to protect the natural resources on their land. Broadband access for rural America is a critical path to ensuring farmers have the tools they need to achieve the conservation outcomes they desire. Food security. This is the one that talks about that 70%. Okay, food security. Feeding hungry people. Again, we're here at the United States Department of Agriculture on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. There's the Washington Monument. There's the Museum of American History. There's the Museum of Natural History, the Museum of Indian Art, the Hirshhorn Museum of Modern Art, the Museum of African American History and Culture. Further down, there's the Smithsonian Castle. Here's the Freer Gallery of Asian Art. There's other lands included than just China. It's also Japan and Arabic land as well, covered there with some beautiful art, some really beautiful art there. Also, which one am I missing? The other museums that's there. Anyways, okay, back to this. Feeding hungry people in the United States and around the world. Chronic hunger remains a very large, also that's headed by the Washington Monument there, and headed there on the other side by the Capitol, which I thought was the biggest capital in the United States, but that belongs to Texas. And this one's at like what, it's over 100,000 square foot Capitol building, it's like 175 or something. In Texas, it's like 325 or something, 325,000 square feet. But this one is beautiful. I love the white stone, and actually, you look at it from this angle and you think, oh, this is a long Capitol. But if you take the other side of it, like the other side is not only is the width long, but also the length of it is long too. Because if you take like the other side of it, it's long too. Compared to like the Capitol where I come from, like Raleigh, North Carolina, like the finance, the FINANCE. The Capitol is so much more astounding than the North Carolina budget alone. But so I think about the other capitals I've seen, like even the West Virginia Capitol, I think is, even though their budget, I mean, it's not a simple equation because I think their budget is, I don't know if it's larger or smaller than North Carolina. I think the land is smaller, but the Capitol building is larger. Anyways, food security, feeding hungry people in the United States and around the world. Chronic hunger remains in a very large challenge for many people. 40 million Americans face hunger each year and every day, and as we look around the world, the number of hunger where people climbs to nearly 1 billion. Feeding the world's hungry people is complex, but agriculture is at the heart of this solution. With the next 30 years, agriculture productivity must increase by 70% to meet the nutritional needs of the Earth's growing population. And I just read that meant about the growing population part of it. I saw the need for the increase of 70%, but I didn't know it was due to an increasing population. I see that now. In the past year, this garden and the USDA Farmers Market proudly donate more than 6,000 pounds of food to local food banks that feed hungry people. Visit fjfgarden.org, giving back to learning more on where we donate. 1 in 9 people around the world suffer from hunger. Okay, Farm Journal Foundation. Your whole truth is the voice of the farmer. Please visit fjfgarden.org or scan QR code to watch videos from real farmers and learn more about the farming and agriculture. About farming and agriculture, I added a word. The crops in our garden may change due to season, weather, and various factors out of our control, but that's truly the life of a farmer. Mention that. I didn't see that before, but this matching function here, like I mentioned that fact, and now this is complementing it with the factual sentence on complementing that. Whereas some of the stuff I've read here, and I came back and I gave you heads up on it, and then I came and confirmed it this writing. But that was one of the things that I had really read through before I said it. Visit fjfgarden.org. Growing in the garden to learn more about crops growing in our garden. Okay, so here, this is, we read about the food waste. That talks about potatoes. We'll get to that in a second. There's a Christmas tree. See, Christmas tree. Okay, growing in the garden, Christmas trees. The ready-cut Christmas tree industry started in the mid-19th century with trees cut from the forest. The planting of trees and plantations began in the early 20th century and increased greatly after the Second World War. There are currently about 27,000 Christmas tree operations in the United States. Of these, about 3/4 sell trees retail, and about 1/2 sell at least some of their trees wholesale. The most common trees produced are the Fraser fir, Douglas fir, and Colorado blue spruce. Other important varieties include white pine, balsam fir, Scotch pine, white spruce, noble fir, grand fir, and Leyland cypress. So those are types of Christmas trees. Sales of Christmas trees in the United States are around 250 million each year. And then this again reiterates where you can visit to watch the videos from real farmers and learn more. There's a Christmas tree. The Fraser fir, Douglas fir, Colorado blue spruce. I think I saw where is it? Montana. I think they grow the Christmas trees grow in nature readily around town in certain areas of the United States. Perhaps Colorado and Montana, places like that. Other important varieties: white pine, balsam fir, Scotch pine, white spruce, noble fir, and grand fir, and Leyland cypress on Christmas trees. We covered composting. There it is. Remember, leaves, grass, and food scraps. You can compost those things in a container like that. In a few months, spread it in the garden. Okay, irrigation and moisture sensors. Pressure irrigation. Water is a precious resource that farmers, ranchers, and growers carefully steward. Precision irrigation allows for remote monitoring and control of water to give crops the exact level of moisture they require, applying only the necessary amount of water. Creating food and fiber accounts for nearly 80% of the United States water consumption. Creating food and fiber accounts. For this reason, farmers work to conserve water and use the best management practices. This is as you can see, this is likely a watering system used here, but it mentions that the farmers try to be excellent stewards over the water, which hopefully can always be recycled and such. So here's some wheat. We'll get to the wheat in a minute. Here's parsley. Oh, okay. I just saw this parsley and the Genovese basil. It looks like some tomatoes are in bloom. Wow, nice. Oh, no, it's a pepper. I think that's the pepper. The ornamental pepper, the Thai hot pepper. Nice. So also, yeah. And this is the sweet Italian pepper. Nice, the banana pepper. I like banana peppers on my salad. When I make a salad or something, yeah, I like banana peppers. And I did actually have some hot peppers the other day on something. But these look like tomatoes. Oh, nice to use solar. So I was thinking, if you check out my go to my think tank. I think there's 100. Go again to my website, dcwdcw.com. So if you go there and go to the think tank, there's an entry, think tank entry. It talks about my WordPress where I try to start there. But also, if you click down, you'll see the give the page. If your computer's slow, might take longer, but give it the page 3 to 5 seconds to load. But you'll see the think tank entry. Scroll back to find the one on ending homelessness, and how I think this guy's model that they use for the veterans in Kansas City could be used globally to completely end homelessness. But I think a way to power it to save money and to use the sun's energy would be through solar. Power the cable TVs, the water, using those tiny home models and all of that. Tomatoes. Okay, so they are tomatoes. I was like, those look like tomatoes, but they are tomatoes. And then here you have the tomatillo super verde. Tomatillo super tomatoes. Okay, vegetable. I don't know if that's the same thing, but there it is. Tomatoes, and then again with banana peppers. Okay, so growing in the garden, potatoes. Americans love potatoes. Potatoes are the #1 consumed vegetable in the United States. Potatoes are both affordable and nutritious. One spud has only 110 calories, 0 fat, 0 cholesterol, and is packed with vitamin C, B6, potassium, and fiber. In the United States, 63% of potatoes are used to create food products such as French fries, chips, and boxed mashed potatoes. So yeah, the remainder goes to the fresh market for consumption by people or to be used as seed for growing the next season's crops. Nice. Okay, so here's the purple potato. Here's the other potato. What are these people doing right now? Things down the National Mall. Just buzzing like bees. Swiss yard, nice. Agencies. So another definition of why I say agencies, I mentioned in one of my videos, I say agencies because people, like, when you encounter people and you experience people that could lead you to a job or like a piece of information or like some connection, I say you consider a person like an agency. But also literally all of the agencies that are in the United States, they're your agencies, like the agency of the Smithsonian agencies, the agency of the Department of Energy, the agency of the Department of Agriculture, and all of these different agencies, not to mention modeling agencies, and I even show a movie agency in my California building video, but particularly to DC, all of the agencies of DC. Okay, safe that provides so many jobs to people. Even though I initially wanted to go for profit, so I can make millions and millions. I have this general idea that I've known since I was a child, growing up a Christian or whatever. The basic idea that, community, providence, and providing for others through love and through giving and all of that I knew then. But it came a point in my life where I'm older now, and I think about money because I'm at the point where I'm like, I need a house, I need stuff like that take care of myself and, my significant other, and as well as back to the stuff that has already come natural to me, like giving back to the community. Goes without saying, I don't have to mention it. It'll be done. But the whole point is, I just mentioned money because I mentioned I know the exact price of the house I want. I know exactly how much it would cost to finance it for the next 100 years, as well as the cars and everything else. That's why I say, because I'm being conceited and I want the largest house in town, whatever. There's 40,000 incorporated, unincorporated towns and villages in the United States. Pick one of them and you want the largest home in one of them. If somebody's jealous and they want to play that role, feel free. Buy the house. Buy one of the houses. There's 100 of them listed on my website. Do that, won't you? Buy one of them and mention who suggested it for you. You can mention it directly to me or mention it to somebody else and indirectly to me through one of my YouTube videos, through the page, endorse me some type of way. Hell, invite me over. Healthy competition. Which agency in the DC deals with competition? I believe that would be, again, is that the USDA or is that that may be the Department of Labor? They promote competition because the outcome of it, do your own research, promotes better products, better business, and stuff like that, and all of the stuff that goes along with it. Okay, so the U.S. farm economy, safe, affordable food. The diagram below represents the journey our food takes from the farm to our tables. Many people with many different types of job skills. Let me interject. There are a few stops on the DC Metro chain where you're 20 stories below Tinleytown and DuPont Circle, perhaps, and Friendship Heights. So by the time you go down that very long escalator, that's particularly to those 3 stops, that's like super steep and super long. And then you have one of them. You have, after you get to the top of that long one, there's another one to get to the street. And then, or if you take the one from the street and then the really long one, then you get beyond that, you have to take another one to get down to the train after you swipe yourself into the subway system with your subway card or whatever. So it ends up, there's a door down there that says to exit the staircase is 20 stories down. You're 20 stories down. So anyways, back to this sign. A lot of these people are visitors. So DC is not that big of a city, not in terms of size or population. I mean, in terms of population, it's a pretty large, medium populated city. However, in terms of size, it's tiny. And then because it's a federal district, they have all of these beautiful lands and all of these beautiful capital city buildings, but particularly the federal capital city buildings and lands is designated to the particular capital for the entire United States of America and all 50 states and stuff like that. But I don't know what else mentioning, but yeah, also you have the population of people that live here. You see the DCers and the Virginians and the Maryland, because look, Maryland's right there, and so is Montgomery County's right there, and so is Arlington, Virginia. It's right there. So Virginia and Maryland's right there. But you'll see all 3 of those tags in and out of DC every day. But yeah, you'll see Maryland. But also you have all of the tourists, which is pretty cool. They come in, they don't know, and they learn. So I'm kind of like a tourist here myself, you know. There's one of those squirrels I mentioned that will come right like close to you. And I saw 2 rats in this over here. Oh, there's one. So there's like baby mice in here. There's a hole right there. Okay. And they're running beside the Virginia peanuts. There's a squirrel. And I'll show you that there was 2 baby mice. And they were running when I was over here reading. This is the first time it talks about the Virginia peanuts. They produce in 13 states, Southeast, Southwest, and Virginia and North Carolina. The U.S. is the 4th largest peanuts in the world. And how are you? Agencies. And we